Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Michelle from Michelle's Empty Nest, and today you are going to see take 2 on this layout. I had filmed it, photographed it, edited the pictures, was ready to, share it. But the little things that I didn't like about it were just growing bigger and bigger. I'll try to pop up a photo here to show you what it looked like before. It was just missing something, and there were a couple things that jumped out at me that I wish I had done differently. So I took what was the original layout and tore it apart. I've torn off my 4x6 card. I've torn off strips. Luckily, everything came up very nicely that I needed to be able to save. And then I just reprinted my journaling and this like pattern paper that I made from the digital stamp set for the Ampersand kit. So also, I realized that even though these two were called the same thing, basil white, I had a stack that was definitely more of a cream or ivory color than the one I did to begin with. And I decided I really liked this cream color a little better with the colors in here, and especially since this is more of a creamy khaki, almost like a light colored cardboard look. So I went with this somewhat different shade of basil white this time. So I'm going to need a hinge. I am going to need a small piece of acetate, a larger piece of acetate, and then I've got my pattern paper, and I've got both pages of my journaling, which ended up kind of being more poem-like, and I'm not a person that normally writes poetry, but as I started to write with the repetition that I enjoy doing, and I don't know, just the way it was looking, because I was wanting all these ampersands to kind of show up, so I ended up centering all my text. I think that gives it a little bit more of a poem feel as well. And one thing that I really did not like on this original layout was that I had the words showing and then this beautiful image of pattern paper on the back. So I decided to switch that up, and I'm going to make this be on the front, and it'll be like hidden journaling. And the other thing that I didn't like was I felt like I needed some stitching. It just looked like it was getting a little bit too lost. So I made kind of like 2 columns, and I cannot sew a straight line to save my soul, so it is not straight, but that is okay. And I'm going to also, I meant to pop these strips up on foam dots, and I forgot. I just totally went crazy trying to do this last layout, so that's why we're going to do it again. I normally use these from Scrapbook Adhesives. They're my favorite, but I have a couple of packs from scrapbook.com that I thought I would give a try. They're more like the thin. I get the thin and the regular from Scrapbook Adhesives. So since I'm going to need several, I decided I would give these a try and see how they go. So I'm going to stop talking and put you on fast forward, and we are going to do version 2 of the same layout. All right, let's do it. Okay, this layout threw me for about 3 or 4 loops. It's still not perfect. You're going to see I have a little blunder here at the end, even after redoing it. So I'm making my hinge. It's regular copy paper. I cut them to 2 inches wide, and this one was cut down to 10.5 inches. I like them to be just a little shorter than my paper, and my paper is 11 inches tall because that's as big as my printer can print. So I'm going to go ahead and get this back piece put onto the hinge, and spoiler alert, this is part of the error here that I don't realize until right at the very end. And I want to punch out a section of both of these papers that they're going to end up being front to back. because I love it when Allie puts like a little bit of transparency between two pictures or two papers and puts something on top of it. So instead of doing a like a tab, an Avery Index tab, I decided I would do this as a just a thing to let people know that there's something behind there. Lift this up. So I put on the other page of my journaling to the other side of the hinge, and I'm going to go ahead and put this piece of acetate down before I put the pattern that I created from the digital stamp set onto the back of this paper. And so I think I cut it at like about 2.5 by 3 or something like that. I used a 2-inch circle punch to punch out that area. So then I can go ahead and put on my score tape for this part of the little flip. And I did use score tape on all of this just because this will end up being an outside of the page protector. And I realize also that I never told you what I needed that second large piece of acetate for. You'll see at the very end I kind of slide it where it's going to end up being. I didn't want to put it there yet because I didn't want the glare for taking some photos. But that other piece of acetate will serve as kind of like those citrus twist kit tabs where you just stick the layout to it, punch holes in the acetate, and then put that into the album. So that's what I'll end up doing with this layout. Okay, so my stitching, there's two different color ampersands that are really close together in the patterns that I made. One is a slight bit more green and the one is a slight bit more blue, but they were different colors, and I had this thread that kind of spanned the gap between those two. It's a blue-green color. So that's what I did my stitching with, and that little ampersand, I just pulled it off. I had stuck it up to the front of my craft table because that's the one I yanked off of the first layout that I tore apart. So this card, I did trim down just a bit so that I could have a little bit of breathing room between it and the other side of the paper. So I just trimmed it right to the edge of the ampersand. And then that felt heart that it's stitched, I put a couple of pieces of score tape and then did a tiny attacher in the middle. I'm using my T-square ruler here to just make sure I'm getting these little story starters kind of in the place I want them to be in the middle from side to side. And so I just did that on the top and bottom, and then the rest of them I freehanded. I also used my T-square to put that 4x6 card on there because I wanted to make sure I got it in the center of my paper. So somewhere around in here is when I'm realizing that, oh boy, I've messed up. I have put my journaling in the wrong order. It's reading from right to left instead of left to right, but you know what? It's staying. I'm not redoing it. So I added a Velcro dot, and I'm going to add my date stamp onto the bottom of my layout, and then that is where this one will be finished up. Okay, that's where I am calling this one done. I do definitely like version 2 better than I did version 1. I love having this on the front to be seen. I'm not sure how much time I had to try to describe this in the voiceover, but what I did was with the digital stamp, I just pulled in one of each of the ampersands that was there. And then, so I just made this row, and then I selected colors, used my eyedropper and made them be the same colors as the kit. And then I just copied and pasted and pasted and pasted and kept going until I filled the whole thing in. So it's not going to be, you know, like an exact repeat pattern because I didn't really measure, but I think it got pretty close. It definitely gets the point across. So I did, however, make a blunder again, but I'm not doing version 3 of this layout. I put my first page of journaling here because I had in my mind that I knew I had punched the hole and it kind of fit right in this area with this part of the text, and that's what my mind was focused on, I suppose. Did not even realize it until right at the end that I had done that, but that's okay. It'll just, hopefully people can see that it needs to be read from here if they ever choose to read it. But I do like these popped up on foam dots as well. And the scrapbook.com adhesive was okay. I still prefer those from scrapbook adhesives a little bit better. Isn't that what it's called? I forget. Yeah, scrapbook adhesives. All right, so I wanted to read my journaling to you. I love to hear other people read their journaling. I know Crystal Inyate does it a lot, and to me it just seems a little more meaningful when you hear the words coming from the person who wrote them. And if you don't want to hear the journaling, that's fine. You can go ahead and head on out for now, and I will see you in the next video. And then those that would like to hear the journaling will go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start from the right side. Okay. 6 months out from rock bottom. March 10, 2021. September 10, 2021. From then until now feels like both yesterday and a million years ago at the same time. In between then and now, I have felt many things and thought many things and done many things and said many things and seen many things and started many things and stopped many things. I have had highs when I thought I could take on the world and when I thought I could solve all the problems I see. I've had lows when I thought the weight of the world was on my shoulders and when I thought I would buckle underneath that weight. I have felt gratitude for my family and my faith and my perseverance. I have felt grief in the worry I caused my family and in doubting my faith and in worrying about those thoughts returning. I have had some of my best days spent with Olin and some of my best days spent mostly alone. I have had some of my worst days spent with Olin and some of my worst days spent mostly alone. I have been brave by returning to therapy and by talking about my thoughts and feelings and by continuing to get up every day and do life. I have been scared about returning to therapy and about talking about my thoughts and feelings and about having to keep doing life every day. Life has been a beauty. Life has been a mess. I have been a beauty, and I have been a mess. There will always be beauty between the then and the now. There will always be a mess between the then and the now. I will continue to be a beauty and a mess. I will continue to be brave and scared. I will continue to have highs and lows. I will continue to feel gratitude and grief. I will continue to have highs and lows. There will always be a then and a now. There will always be a then and a now. I will choose to focus on the now and not only on the then. I will choose to focus on the now, and I will choose to focus on the future. I am focused on the now, and I am focused on the future. There is beauty to be found there as well. All right, so that's where we'll end for today. I thank you so much for stopping by. It means more to me than you know. If you enjoyed this video, I would love a thumbs up down below. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing that as well. I'll have a few things linked down in the description box. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.